Okay, we'll go ahead and get started. All right, welcome everyone to another Get Legit webinar. This is amendments to a cannabis cultivation license with Eva Olin. Today is Thursday, December 12th, 2024. My name is Erin. I am the Education and Communications Manager here at the Nevada County Cannabis Alliance. So thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. It is our hope that anyone interested in commercial cannabis here in Nevada County will take the time to tune into these webinars, educate themselves, and continue to be or become stewards of the environment and of our community. The Get Legit educational series provides the preparation necessary to assist in securing a local cultivation permit and state cultivation license. The series includes webinars, support groups, business skills trainings, and a mentor program. All Get Legit webinars are online, free of charge, and open to the public. This webinar will conclude our 2024 Get Legit webinar series. So stay tuned for our 2025 schedule slated for next year. Some exciting events with the Alliance. Currently, we have Mary Jane's Marketplace happening right now. Started on December 2nd, and it goes through December 16th, which is Monday. So there's only 4 days left. It's an online auction and holiday shopping experience. The auction aims to support the Cannabis Alliance and create visibility for Nevada County businesses. Over 50 local businesses donated to our auction, and we are so, so grateful for their support. I would put the link, I'm going to put the link in the chat because it's a very long link, but it's basically go to our nccannabisalliance.org, go to our events, and you'll see Mary Jane's Marketplace there. Yeah, and then we also have our chili cook-off happening in February. That's a few months off. It's in, I think, February 22nd, so mark your calendars. Shout out to our industry business sponsors. We have Ag Natural, Vital Garden Supply, Forester's Co-op, Humboldt Seed Company, California Ag Labs, Mr. B's Green Trees, Gold Coast Botanicals. Thank you all so much for your support. So what is the Alliance? If you've never heard of us, we are a nonprofit trade association representing the local cannabis community. Our mission is to support public policy initiatives through representative advocacy, provide educational opportunities, and create space for connection within the industry and the greater community. Some services that we provide to our members are consistent voice and representation locally and at the statewide level. Monthly educational webinars to assist with the permitting and licensing process, much like this webinar you are watching today. The Buddy program to pair permitted farmers with new farmers. We have a Slack online hub for resource sharing and local policy updates, and seasonal supply chain industry mixers like our chili cook-off and our barbecue cook-off that we just had back in September. So there are lots of ways to stay in touch. You can become a member of the Alliance. Just go to our website at nccannabisalliance.org/membership. I'll link all of these in the chat too for everyone. You can also become a sponsor. Sponsorship includes more promotion. So we could put you in our newsletter, our website, our social media, and we'll just give you lots of love. And we'd appreciate your support. You can follow us on Facebook at just Nevada County Cannabis Alliance or on Instagram at Nevada County Alliance. You're going to see a lot about Mary Jane's Marketplace happening right now. We have a bi-monthly newsletter. Same place you can go to subscribe to that if you're not currently subscribed is nccannabisalliance.org/subscribe. And any additional questions, you can just email me at erin@nccannabisalliance.org or info@. And again, I will link all these in the chat. It's a lot of links. So the format of today's webinar is with Eva Olin, will be our presenter, and then we'll have a Q&A to follow if you have questions. So there is a Q&A at the bottom. Feel free to put questions in the Q&A as we go along if things pop up for you. And Eva will get to them either in that moment or if it makes sense to wait for another time. But your participation is very encouraged. Feel free to use the chat and the Q&A and ask as many questions as you have to make this webinar more useful for everyone. This webinar is being recorded and it will be available on our website at nccannabisalliance.org under our Get Legit tab. And we also have a YouTube channel. I'll link again in the chat. And that is it. I'll go ahead and introduce Eva. Our presenter. Eva Olin is a Senior Environmental Scientist Supervisor in the Office of Environmental Evaluation within the Licensing Division at the Department of Cannabis Control in California. She began working in the Cal Cannabis program at the California Department of Food and Agriculture in 2017. Her and her team review commercial cannabis applications throughout the state. They focus on reviewing cultivation operations plans, ensuring compliance with California Department of Fish and Wildlife and Water Board requirements, reviewing local permits, and performing secret reviews. That's a lot. So I'll go ahead and pass it over to Eva, and she can introduce herself and continue with the webinar. Thanks so much for being here, Eva.
All right, great. Thank you. Happy to be here and provide some outreach and information to you all. So let me just share my screen here. Okay. All right. I think that should be working now. So yeah, I work for the Department of Cannabis Control. We've been a department now for, I think, a little over 3 years. Been working in cannabis for longer than that, since the beginning of legalization in 2017. So I've been around for a minute and just seen the shifts and the changes, which has always been interesting. So today I'm going to talk mostly about license changes. A lot of people already have licenses, so I think I thought it would be important to talk about the different kinds of changes and amendments you can make to licenses, because there's different methods for making changes depending on the type of license. So real quick, I will just give a brief overview of our licensing process. So you would begin an application online, pay the application fee, and then the first step in the licensing process is to conduct a local verification, where we reach out to the local jurisdiction, so in this case, Nevada County, to verify compliance. Once we hear back that you are in compliance, then administrative review takes place. And so they review business formation documents, background checks, owner information, bond information, and things like that. Once you pass administration review, it moves to the scientific review. So that's what me and my team work on. So as Aaron mentioned, that's CEQA review. We review local permits and approvals, fish and wildlife requirements, and water board requirements. And once all that is completed, then we approve your application. And once the license fee is paid, the license is issued. So this process can take several months. So I will just say, if you're planning on cultivating next year and you don't have a license, you probably want to think about submitting that application sooner rather than later, so that we have enough time and you have enough time to get your license in hand for the cultivation season next year. So provisional licenses are still a thing in the state of California. So there's a couple dates coming up for provisional licenses. January 1st coming up in 2025 is the last day for anyone to renew a provisional license, because January 1st, 2026 is the sunset of all provisional licenses, and no provisional licenses are to be in effect after January 1st, 2026. So those dates are quickly approaching. And I'll talk more about that right now here in a second. So this is just a quick breakdown of some license statistics in Nevada County. So mostly it's outdoor licenses, some mixed light licenses, a few indoors, a couple nursery processors, and then 10 non-cultivation licenses in Nevada County. So we do see here that it is pretty heavily cultivation based in Nevada County. There's only 3 provisional licenses left in the county. So most people have transitioned to an annual, and we are approving new applications for an annual license pretty much every day. So Nevada County is looking in great shape as far as getting everybody to an annual license from a provisional. So those provisional dates probably aren't really relevant to a lot of people in the county, which is good. Um, okay, now we'll go over the license changes. And the process for making a license change or a license amendment depends on the type of change being made. So I put this table together. I think hopefully it's really helpful. And we'll review these types of changes and kind of the process for making these changes. So certain types of changes to your business information, owner information, physical modifications of premises for non-cultivation, any kind of information related to revocation of a local license or permit, that is all done through submitting the DCC Form 27 via email. We also have the science amendment process, which is done via the licensing portal. So that's how you make physical modifications to cultivation premises. And that's how you would also request to transition a cultivation license from provisional to annual. We do have some new changes that can be made to cultivation licenses. So you can do this through the cultivation license change process in the licensing portal. So we'll review what these changes are. And then you can also convert an existing cultivation license to either a medium or a large license via a license conversion process via the licensing portal. And there are some changes that you might need to make or want to make to your operations that would require a new application. And those would be increasing the size of a license or changing the lighting type or like the type of cultivation of a license, for example, from outdoor to mixed light or something like that. So we'll go into these in a little more detail now. So we do have a lot of this information on our website, and it does move around from time to time online, but you can go to the licensees tab, and then the first link under there, the Canna Connect, is a good place to look and find information for maintaining compliance with licensing requirements. And under here, there's a couple different links on the side. So one is for license modifications and forms. So that Form 27 will be located here. And then there's information on converting to a large or a medium cultivation license, also located there. Another place for cultivation licenses to find information on the different amendment processes. And this information is also under the licensees tab under the cultivation link. So all the information related to cultivation is here. So you'll find information on science amendments and the cultivation license changes also on this website here. Okay, so for premises modifications for non-cultivation license, there is a fee associated with those modifications. It's $500 applicable to some changes. So you would use this process to request relocation, add or remove an activity type under a micro business, or make certain physical modifications to your non-cultivation license. So relocating canopy, processing, packaging, composting, harvest storage areas, etc., or changing the water or power source that's being used. And if you have a manufacturing license, this is how you also make changes to that, including the addition of the extraction method that you're using. So there's a form, Form 27, available on the website. You email it to this email address here, which is also on the form. So this is just what the form looks like. So you would just check the type of change that you're making, fill out the form, and then email it to this license change at Cannabis email address to get that change made. The science amendment process is for cultivation licenses. There is no fee associated with science amendments. So you would request to transition to an annual license in a science amendment or propose physical modifications update any documentation, such as any updated lake or stream bed alteration agreement documentation from the California Department of Fish and Wildlife. You would update any pest or waste management plans or any other documentation or updates that need to be made. You can also change the premises address or APN. So if you notice that it's like incorrect on your license for some reason, or maybe there was like a parcel merge or some other change made to that information, you would change that through a science amendment. Any changes to power or water source are done through science amendments, and electricity usage reporting can also be done through a science amendment. And so that's all done via the licensing portal once you log in. So to submit a science amendment with any of this information, you would select science amendment and then continue application, because there's now an option for cultivation license change, which we'll talk about. So science amendment button there will get you started on getting this information updated and changed. And the science amendments are reviewed by my staff. And so we review all the documents. We might need additional information, and then we will approve the science amendment. Okay, so this is new cultivation license changes as of March 11th, 2024. So this is Senate Bill 833. Was passed to allow certain changes to cultivation licenses. And we did propose permanent regulations on November 1st, 2024, and we are accepting comments on these regulations through December 17th. So there's a couple more days to provide any feedback or comments on these regulations. There's information about the proposed regulations and how to make comments available on our website. So if you want to take a look at that and provide comments and feedback, we would, like to hear from you. So these cultivation license changes, you can reduce the size of a license, you can place the license in a limited operation status, or you can make a one-time change to the expiration date. And we'll go through each of these. So to reduce the size of a license, the requirements are that the reduced size canopy must be located within the canopy of the original license. And you must maintain the same lighting type as the original license. So this process or change would be for if, say, a cultivator wanted to go from a small outdoor license to a specialty outdoor license, you can request a reduced size of that license with this process. And the canopy must remain at the reduced size for the duration of the license term. So then at the next renewal, you have three options. You can retain the reduced size license. You can change to a different reduced size license if you wanted to downsize even further, or you can restore back up to the original license. So this is an option for cultivators that might need to, for one reason or another, for a year, reduce the size of their cultivation. And then maybe the following year they can revert back or just maintain that reduced size license. So you can do all that on an existing license. So you can do this at time of renewal, or you can make a one-time change to the expiration date outside the renewal window and make a reduction in the size of your license. So this does not apply to nursery or processor licenses because they don't have canopy. So it's only cultivation licenses. And you submit an updated premises diagram and pay any applicable fees. And so the fees are calculated depending on when the request is submitted and whether any other changes are being made. So like that change to expiration date. So depending on when you're making this change and if there's any other changes, additional fees may be due, or you may be issued a refund. And I know this is a lot of information to check in, and there's a lot of requirements and qualifications and that kind of thing, but there is a lot of information about this on our website, including a lot of details about the fees and some example fee calculations. So, head to our website if you're thinking about reducing the size of your cultivation license and review the information there because there is a lot of information there to help you um, with this. So the next change you can make on a cultivation license is putting it into a limited operation status. So this would be for if for some reason you can't operate for a period of time, but you don't want to lose your license, you can place it into limited operation status. So there's a couple prohibitions and requirements to do this. So you are not allowed to have any mature plants on the premises. Anything you harvest after the license goes into this limited operation status must be destroyed, but you can engage in drying, curing, grading, trimming, packaging, and the sale of cannabis harvested. You can maintain immature plants for propagation, and you must uh, the license must remain in limited operations for the duration of the license term or until the next renewal period. So once again, at renewal, you can renew it as a limited operation status license again, or you can return it back to an active status. You can make this request at renewal, or if you make a one-time change to the expiration date of your license when it's outside the renewal window. Nursery and processors are not eligible for the limited operations. It is only cultivation licenses. So the fees associated with this is if you do this at the time of renewal, the fee is 20% of the license fee. So there is still a fee to have a limited operation status, but it's 20% of the license fee. And, again, depending on if you're making any other changes, the fee is prorated and you might be owed a refund or owe additional fees. So again, our website has more information on this and examples of this fee calculation. And the next change, the last change that you can make to a cultivation license is a one-time change to the expiration date of your license. And the thinking behind this, being able to make this change and putting it into legislation and regulations is to give licensees or allow some flexibility to when their license is set to renew and when the license fee needs to be paid. So, if there's a certain time of year that works better for you to pay your license fee than at other times of the year, you can use this one-time change to the expiration date to move that when that fee is due. So that's the reason that this came about. So the requirement for this is that the new expiration date must be on or up to 12 months after the date of request. So you have, basically 12 months in advance where you can request a new expiration date. So if your license renews in February, but you would rather have it renew in October, you can request a one-time expiration date change to move it to the October renewal. So you can do this at renewal, or outside of the renewal window, you can make a one-time change. So you're only allowed to make this change one time. You can't make it and then revert back to the original expiration date or make another change to a new expiration date. So nursery and processor licenses can make this change as well as all cultivation licenses. You would pay the licensing fee and it is dependent upon when the request is submitted. So again, you might be owed money or pay additional fees. And it's, again, prorated based on the amount of time left you have on your license and the new expiration date and all of that. So Again, more fee calculations and information are available on our website to help you out with this change. Okay, and then so you would find all these cultivation license changes under first you select amendment and then cultivation license change option. It's the same area where the science amendment option is. Okay, so the next thing is conversion of a license to a medium or a large license. So this isn't something that's necessarily new. We started doing this almost 2 years ago, so January 2023. And so this is okay, so conversion basically is combining your existing or any previously held licenses into a medium or a large license. And I don't know how much of this happened in Nevada County, but in some places, people were converting, 3 or 4 small licenses into a medium license, or more small licenses into a large license. So it's allowing licensees to consolidate all of their license into one or fewer number of licenses. So the proposed premises must be one contiguous premises. At least one active license has to exist within the boundaries of the proposed premises. You can only convert licenses that are all held by the same licensee. The restriction on this is that this person cannot hold a license for a testing lab or a distribution or a micro business. So in some jurisdictions, the distribution restriction really prevents people from holding large licenses. So in those locations, we see people that have now many medium licenses rather than many small licenses. But I don't think that's probably so applicable or the case in Nevada County. Licensees may hold more than one medium license. So that was a change that went into effect in 2023. The original Prop 64 only allowed one person to hold one medium license, but that is not the case anymore. So just one other thing, you can't change ownership through a conversion. Some qualifications, you must provide the active license number of the license to be converted and all of the associated license numbers that you want to convert into that license. There's no fee for the conversion request, and the fees are calculated based on a prorated amount for each day remaining on each active license approved for conversion, and that will be credited to the license fee amount for the post-conversion medium or large. So there's information about conversions on our website, and there's also an instructional video available on our website. So if you are thinking that you might want to or need to go to a medium or a large license, you might look into this conversion process for any licenses you already have. And there are some changes that you can't make to a license and require a new application. So a change in cultivation type. So for example, to go from a mixed light tier 1 to an outdoor license, you have to submit a new application. To increase a license size also requires a new application unless you go through that conversion process. So if you were like a specialty outdoor and you wanted to increase your canopy to the small outdoor amount, you would have to submit a new application for that small outdoor. And then certain changes to business structure or other business information can't be made on a license. You will have to submit a new application. And that is basically the end of my presentation. Here's some information. There's our general licensing email. Environmental review at cannabis.ca.gov is for any scientific questions, CEQA related questions. If you have questions about your canopy, maybe we can help you there. and then our website and email updates for announcements and link is there. Um, so yeah, that's all I have.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Eva. This would be a great opportunity if those who are on the call that have like questions, raise your hand, like Diana just did. Um, ask to unmute, and Eva will answer your questions here in the webinar.
Yeah, thank you so much, Eva. This was a great presentation. So my question is this. We have just 3 provisional license holders that need to transfer to their annuals. And of course, that deadline is quickly approaching. Does that deadline mean when they have to submit their information, or will they have to be approved by then? If they submit their CEQA documents today, will they be approved by then? Or if they submit their CEQA documents on December 30th, will they still be in the clear?
Yeah, so if they renew their provisional license before the end of the year, they're fine, and they have all of next year to transition to an annual license. So they just have to renew their license by the end of this year.
So they have to be in good standing with their existing license, even if they're still a provision, even if they still have their provisional license.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. That helps.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, Diana. And if anyone else have any other questions, you can raise your hand or just pop them into the Q&A. And there's 2 call-in listeners. I'm not sure if you, either of you had questions. I'm not sure if you can raise your hand on a phone call. I actually don't know if that's the case. I'm just gonna press allow to talk. And if you guys want to ask questions, go ahead. But I actually do have a question for you, Eva, too. In fact, one is, do you have the link to that video for the conversions by chance?
Um, I can
Maybe pop it into the chat and people
yeah, I can
can
find it on our website. Yeah.
be great.
Yeah. I saw that and I was like, oh wow, we have a video. So
That's so helpful. Like anytime
yeah.
there's an instructional video to do anything, especially this complicated, it's really helpful. And then my other question was, is there a place, like a checklist of sorts for amendments? Like kind of like when you get your license, you can get that printout, or you can print out like a whole checklist of things, everything you need to do. Is there something similar for amendments where they can kind of see it in one place and go, okay, I need to do these things?
Um, I do know that we have a what am I looking for? Like a guide on how to submit a science amendment, but I don't think it's really like a checklist.
Okay. Maybe a guide could be helpful. If you have
Okay.
access to that, that'd be great. Put
Yeah.
that as well. Yeah, if anyone
I'm
has
unmuted.
who is
I'm
this?
trying to. Yes, this is Gary Baker.
Hey,
I don't
Gary,
have any hands. I have no hands to put up here anywhere that I can see.
go for it.
My question is pretty simple. Is these cannabis requirements have changed a lot over the years, and I think most people have been able to figure it out. But as we start to move ahead, still, what new changes are anticipated to these regulations in the next few years?
Um, I don't really have a good sense of that, honestly, but I do know that Senate Bill 833, um, that was written by lawmakers in response to feedback from the stakeholders and the licensees about that. So I do think there are ways to make your voices heard and provide information and just kind of like feedback on the regulations and what kinds of things you want to see. So um I I think I just saw it. I think I had an email. about an article. I think there's maybe a state or governor website that talks about all the 2025 cannabis laws that will be going into effect in 2025. I'll see if I can um, find that. It looks like maybe there was like a Fox News article about that. Um,
And then there's that CAC meeting on Wednesday that I know we're really excited for here in Nevada County. We'll definitely be attending that meeting and speaking up at that meeting, especially, a lot of interest out here from our farmers about licensing fees and just with the, you know, extreme market fluctuation and really downturn in the market, re-looking at those licensing fees is going to be critical for the success of our small farmers up here. And since we're, mostly we are all, under an acre or under, so that's going to be really a big one.
Cool. Anyone else with any questions?
I do have actually another question is how, Eva, how close to that 6 month timeline is it for processing new applications? Is it coming in usually before that? Is it usually right around 6 months? Is it like how is the timeline looking? I mean, I saw your graphic, but what's it looking like boots on the ground?
yeah, I think it's around 6 months right now. Um, And I think, we'll be shifting away from transitions and reviewing, more like, yeah, new applications. And statewide, we see an influx of applications in the spring in preparation for the growing season. Of course, indoor and some mixed light aren't as subject to the seasons, but a lot of cultivation is very seasonal. So we do see an influx. So it just, yeah, we kind of get a pulse of applications submitted in the spring. So yeah, I would say like plan on 6 months, or maybe a little more. And I think that the sooner that you get an application in, the better. And then you're not, like stressed about getting it and trying to get everything, ready to go for the cultivation season.
Great. And I had another question and it just escaped me. Oh, so no more electricity calculations after January 1st, is that correct? For our renewals?
So yeah, did that one get passed? I know there was like not sure the status on the change for that, but it seems likely that that will be going away at some point.
I think so.
Yeah.
That one was a doozy.
It's,
Yeah.
you know, yeah.
Um,
I'm trying
cool.
to.
Yeah.
uh,
Well, we're really looking forward to, I know that in our advocacy conversations with the DCC over the, past few years, it seems like there's coming down the pipeline more improvements to help streamline cultivation and as you noted, the majority of our farmers are cultivators, and so we're really looking forward to being engaged in those discussions. Yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah, we're happy to participate and conduct this outreach and happy to be here. We did a lot of outreach kind of in the early days to get people licensed, and I think there's been a little bit less now that there's fewer jurisdictions setting up programs and as people are already licensed and stuff. But I think the stuff about the different changes and how to stay compliant is really important. And so thank you for having us here today. I'm going to put one last link in the chat. It's a really brief Fox News article about the new cannabis laws in California. And actually, I think it's all the new laws in California going into effect. And I think there's only a couple cannabis specific ones over there.
Awesome. These are some great
Yeah.
resources. I'm going to use these and share these in all the
Yeah.
places. Awesome. Cool. Anyone else have any last questions before we wrap up? Patrick Tracy, go for it.
Hey, how's it going?
Hi.
If you guys can hear me.
Yep, we can hear you a little bit. It's a little muffled.
Try something. I don't know if that's going to make it any better.
Oh, no, that's good.
Anyways, my question was regarding purchasing a property that already has an existing license. How does that necessarily work as far as the approval process? Do you think that's going to take the same amount of time, that 6 month kind of application? I don't know, it's not a new application, but uh, furlough and
Okay, I think I got the beginning of your question. So I think the question is about you have a property that already had a cannabis license on it, and so you are basically submitting a new application for a new business on that property, I think is the
correct.
question.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's the same process as submitting the new
Wait.
application, and we don't have any criteria for like prioritizing or like expediting review of these type of applications. And we see this in a lot of places, right? Nevada County, other places, and just businesses are being bought and sold. And so we do see this a lot where a new application will come in on a site that already had an application. It is still taking about that 6 months, but the application does move quicker through the process usually because there are approvals and stuff already in place. So I think that it it is faster, like on the applicant end. If they receive any deficiencies from us, they are quicker to correct those. So that can kind of speed up that 6 month timeline. But yeah, I would say still plan on about that 6 months, because just the amount of applications that we have, and it's just kind of like the first application, next application received kind of thing. Yeah.
That makes sense. Thank you.
Yeah.
Cool. Thanks for your question, Patrick. Any other last questions before we wrap up here? This is your chance. Okay. Diana? No, okay. Well, if there are any additional questions for people, what was some of the contact information just to go to the website, or is there an email that's very specific to these types of things?
Yeah, so licensing at cannabis.ca.gov is our licensing inbox. So any questions about licensing can go there. That's a good one. And then they kind of triage and we'll forward the email to appropriate subject matter experts if necessary. Yeah, that's a good one. If you have a environmental specific question, it's environmental review at cannabis.ca.gov. But also the licensing inbox can forward it to that email too. So yeah, and those emails and contacts were on the last slide of my presentation too. So
Cool. Yes, this is being recorded, like I mentioned in the beginning, so you can go back and review anything specifically, if you had questions and want to just look back at her presentation, this will be available under our Get Legit tab on our website, nccannabisalliance.org, under the Get Legit tab. And yeah, I think that's it. Thank you so much, Eva, for being here today and going through that really dense information. It's a lot to understand and wrap your head around. So that was very, very informative. Thank you so much for that.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks so much, Eva. Thanks for being here and to the DCC for participating in this outreach.
Yeah, thanks. Anytime.
Cool. Thanks everyone for being here and have a great rest of your day. Bye.